how they think about interesting ideas about aging. One of our opening speakers is going to be sharing with you on how to age well, live well, and how to die well. I know it's of course it's all challenging things we don't want to think about, but dying well is also a key strategy for aging. You have to plan in order to die well. So just let me share with you some of the key partners that we have. For today's webinar, the founder of Santivia, Lynette, is a pharmacist for over 50 years. She's been at the forefront of health advances and worked in pharmaceuticals, medical, beauty, and nutraceuticals for years. One reason why Lynette became a founder of Santivia is because she wanted to improve the health for her daughter as well as her grandchildren. So I think what we see from Lynette is the perspective of both as a pharmacist and also a mother who really wants to care and provide the best immunity possible for her daughter. So we'll hear about that story a little bit later. The Aging Asia Marketplace, of course, where you can purchase a special discount on the Santivia products after today's session, is available on www.agingasiamarketplace.com. And of course, today's webinar is brought to you by Aging Asia. We are the first industry network on the business of aging. And what it means is that we connect people who are looking at the business of aging. We connect consumers who are the customers of the business of aging. And we also try to foster more education about interesting models of care from around the world. And to date, I've traveled to over 400 facilities around the world, looking at interesting ideas that the way people are building retirement villages, assisted living, as well as aging in place and home care services. So I think that's all areas that we're all concerned with. And of course, the Asia Pacific silver economy is projected at $4.56 trillion by 2025. And how did this market come about? It's thanks to all of the seniors around you, because as this new generation of seniors, you were the biggest savers. Baby boomers are known to be the biggest savers out there. And many of them actually have the potential spending power compared to the generations after. So you guys have worked really hard. And I think now you're looking at really interesting ways that you can spend your money purposefully in your silver years. Silver is also one of the terms that they use for the aging population. We haven't quite come up with something interesting for the word aging yet. Sometimes we refer to all of you as seniors, sometimes as consumers, sometimes as senior citizens, sometimes as elderly. But some of these terms feels like it connotates a bit more frailty than others. And maybe someday some of you might coin a new term. I know last year when we were putting a panel together, they called themselves the new young. And that's another term that we can use for this population. Next slide. So of course, in our goals and values, Aging Asia has always believed that the future of aging well, the new filial piety, how we want to look after our parents, is to enable them. And today, I think you've also seen a very real life example here, where when Lynette was invited as a speaker, she also roped in her daughter Melanie to assist her in preparing of the presentation slides and to help her with starting up the Zoom session. But at the end of the day, Lynette is the one that's going to be speaking. So what younger people can do and what the children can do is really to look at ways to facilitate and enable these new technologies so that older people are able to use them well. It's about creating a very inclusive society. So Age with Laughter, it's really about all ways that we can help older people to age as independently as possible, give them the right products and services, ensure that they age in good health so that they can age at home. You don't have to move into an institution, and you can have a lot of different opportunities to age with purpose. Lynette is an entrepreneur. She's what we consider as a silver entrepreneur, someone who's running a business at an older age. And she's not only doing this on her own, but she's also doing it as an intergenerational effort with her daughter. So that's two very good examples there that Lynette is carrying for the active aging hat out there. Aspire 55, of course, is our partner for today's webinar. Aspire 55 is the first virtual retirement village. And in this virtual retirement village, they hope to offer a combination of social, health, and care services for everyone to continue aging at home. Home is the best place to age. But in order to age at home, make sure you look at some of the health programs that they organize, because it's all about building the strength so that you have mobility and independence and balance as you grow older. Next slide. Of course, if you look at the, if you look at what Lynette and Melanie have created, is this wonderful, catchy brand called Santivia, which is an immunity brand that helps you to protect, to help your body to defend against illnesses. So I think it's all about building up your immunity and supplementing it together with a good diet. You can help to enjoy your life better with purpose and fulfillment. Next slide. So today's webinar is going to be is going to have a very casual format. We'll be starting with a presentation by Lynette, followed by a Q&A segment where the audience is welcome to submit all your questions. So use the chat screen. In fact, you can start submitting all your questions now. I already have a few questions in my head, but we will be answering all those questions after Lynette's presentation of her slides. And of course, when you finish the webinar, do fill up the post-event survey because it will help us in creating better webinars for you in future. Next slide. All right, so today's program, as you can see here, will start at about now, and then at 2:40, we'll be having a Q&A, but Lynette, if you end a little bit earlier, no problem, we'll start the Q&A just before that. Okay, so would you like to share your slides with us, Lynette?
Thank you. Thank you, Janice, and good afternoon, everyone. We'll just put the slides on. My daughter's doing the job. Where we are. Okay. Oh, you are on now? Just a second.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yeah, I thought everything was closed.
Okay.
Hold on a second. I don't know what happened to it.
That's
right. Oh, there we go. All right,
there
that's perfect.
Yeah.
All right, we'll now spotlight on Lynette, and we'll be muting our mics so that we can listen to you.
Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. And it's my pleasure to talk about this subject, healthy immunity. I think it's very appropriate, this subject, at this time during the pandemic. You know, every day we open the papers and we see about immunity, and we see the word antibodies. So today I want to talk about how all of this happens and how the immune system is so important to our health and what can go wrong with the immune system, and finally, what you can do about it. So healthy immunity is really a pillar of health, one of the main pillars of health. So if you look after your immune system, you're making your health a priority. Next one.
Why is it not going down?
Sorry. What's happening? So the immune system is your personal defense force. It protects you from infections, whether they're viruses, bacteria, fungi, anything that's foreign, it protects you. So a healthy immune system, what should it do? Well, when it sees a foreign enemy in the body, the cells work together to say, hey, this is foreign. I recognize it as being something foreign. Then it responds by a very complicated system attacking them to protect us. We actually have very many different immune cells that have to work in collaboration with each other to protect us. And finally, they must remember this particular enemy so that they have the ammunition to protect us when they encounter them again. So recognize, respond, and remember is what a healthy immune system must do. So because I would like to talk about vaccination, because this is an area where everybody's being involved lately with having a COVID-19 vaccine. So I want to explain the concept of vaccine. So when you receive your vaccination, whether it be an mRNA type of vaccine like Pfizer or Moderna, or a full virus which is inactivated, such as Sinovac, the immune system recognizes that particular organism as foreign. And then the idea is to produce a good amount of neutralizing antibodies to counteract that specific substance. So that in the future, when you encounter the real thing, the real organism, infection, you have the ammunition to neutralize the infection very quickly. But you need a competent immune system to be able to do this immune response, the appropriate immune response, producing antibodies. And people who are immune compromised or are on, like for example, are on cancer therapy, they've been encouraged to have a vaccination, but their response may not be good enough. And in America now, they're talking about having a third booster dose. So it's quite important to have a good immune system to be able to get the appropriate response from the vaccination. Now, also cancer. Now, do you know that we have immune system cells patrolling our body all the time? Their objective is to destroy microscopic cancer cells. And do you know that we make 10,000 mistakes every day? These mistakes occur when cells divide and they make mistakes disrupting the DNA. But one good thing is they're harmless. They're harmless until a blood supply to the cancerous cells develops. And this happens when the immune system is overrun and cannot cope. Now, an aging immune system, unfortunately, as we age, our immune system weakens with age because we produce less immune cells. And as we get older, we're also making more mistakes. Imagine all those mistakes made during cell division. So the risk of cancer increases with age. So it is important to keep immune system healthy. It's usually the elders that suffer from pneumonia, and that's why we're also concerned about them getting COVID-19, or us, I should say, because I'm an elder as well. Now, what can go wrong with your immune system? Here's a balance. It can be underactive. That means it's weak and immunocompromised, or it can be overactive, where you get autoimmune problems and allergies. But what you really want is a balance so that your immune system is balanced. Now let's do a quiz and see whether you fit into any of these categories. Do you have frequent flu? Or do you have a long recovery time when you get sick? Do you suffer from chronic infections such as UTI, urinary tract infections, sinusitis, bronchitis? Do you have cancer or have had cancer and have been on radiotherapy and chemotherapy? These are the items that will reduce your immune system. Or maybe you're taking immune suppressing drugs such as steroids for your eczema. All of these depress the immune system. The other category is overactive immune system, where you have chronic inflammation and such things as autoimmune problems where the body attacks its own organs. Such examples are asthma, eczema, allergies where you might be allergic to dust mites, for example, but the body thinks this is a major threat, so it goes overactive and tries to kill that so-called dust mite. So that's an overactive in allergies. Rheumatoid arthritis, type 1 diabetes, psoriasis, lupus, celiac disease. In fact, there are over 80 autoimmune diseases and it's increasing. Now, let's talk about messenger molecules. I mentioned that this is like an army, and it's important that each part of the army, each division knows what they're supposed to do. And so what happens is through these messenger molecules, which control the immune response, who to attack, where to go, what to do. The communication pathway is responsible for a well-functioning immune system. But what affects immune communication? These are everyday issues: poor nutrition, infections, toxins, sleep deprivation, and stress. We call it the pits because it is the pits. So let's start with poor nutrition. I think this is a very important area because you are what you eat. You have to eat a healthy diet because when we eat, we're actually feeding our gut microbiome. we have trillions of microorganisms that live in our intestinal tract, and they're responsible from breaking down the food and absorbing nutrients. So we should avoid processed foods and eat whole foods. Whole foods, and that way we prevent gut issues and inflammation, which occurs with eating packaged processed foods. And the foods that we should eat should be the prebiotic foods like garlic, leeks, onions, banana. The probiotic foods such as fermented foods, yogurt, kimchi. And we should eat a colorful variety of fruit and vegetables because these are where we get our micronutrients, our nutrients. And each color represents a different type of nutrient. So 80%, if we can, should be plant-based diet. That's the best. A healthy immune system also comes from a good gut. And a lot of the conditions that we're facing now is believed to be due to a problem with your microbiome. A lot of the autoimmune diseases are believed because you've got leaky gut. So looking after what we eat is very important. And elders tend to eat the same thing. It's very important to have a lot of food. That's why try to get different types of fruit and vegetables, not the same one that you eat all the time. Now, infections. If you have constant infections, it overburdens the immune system. And over time, the immune response is weakened. And that's why you get sick more frequently. Now, toxins. This is perhaps the most difficult to avoid because we're exposed to toxic chemicals every day. New chemicals are being developed all the time. And in fact, it's known that when a baby is born, already they have a few hundred chemicals in their body. So as I said, new things are happening, the world is progressing and new chemicals are made. So we are stuck with it. We can try to reduce exposure to pollutants or toxins. Some of the areas that we can do is food. For example, we know that vegetables have a lot of pesticides. So you can wash your vegetables with baking soda and water to get rid of as much of the pesticides as possible. Well, I like to grow my own. I have a aerospring, and I find that useful to eat fresh vegetables from the garden. Air. Look at the cooling ducts because they can have mold and bacteria. And one area that you can use, one thing you can do to purify your air is use houseplants. That helps very much, like, what is that one? I can't remember the plant's name, but there's a list of house plants that you can use to help purify the air. And water. Well, Singapore water is pretty good, but we still prefer to use a high quality water filter. And the product we use is called Purwa. Now, I put antibiotics under toxins. And the reason is, yes, we use antibiotics when we have infections, but did you know that they also kill as good bacteria as well as bad bacteria? And so you can get bacterial imbalance and you can get yeast overgrowth. Moreover, antibiotics disrupt the immune memory and communication. And many times, in the past, we used to reach for the antibiotic as soon as one had an infection. We didn't worry whether it's bacterial or virus. We just reach for the antibiotic. But really, we should save the antibiotic use for when you really need it, when you're in a serious case. And overuse of antibiotics can cause, resistance. So this affects your gut microbiome. That's why it's important to go easy on the antibiotics. Now, sleep deprivation is a big area that can affect your immune system, especially if it's chronic. It's been found by Professor Matt Walker, who's an expert in sleep in the USA, that sleep deprivation decreases your natural killer cells and increases inflammation. And in fact, he mentioned that just 6 hours of sleep reduces your natural killer cells by 70%. You really need to sleep 7 hours or 9 hours, and preferably between 10 p.m. to 2 p.m. are the most critical times, because that's when the body replenishes itself or repairs itself. And I mentioned about natural killer cells. They're the cells that are our secret agent assassins. They're the ones that look for viruses. They're the ones that also kill off the microscopic cancer cells. So it's very important to keep up our NK cells. Now you should have a good, preferably have a good length, at least 7 hours, 8 hours, and quality of sleep. So many people, as they get older, they have problem with sleep. What's important is to have a regular sleep routine. Go to sleep at the same time, have a wind down period before you go to bed. Turn off all the blue light from devices because they inhibit the melatonin, the sleep hormone. Remove all the Wi-Fi devices from your bedroom and make sure the room is cool. And I just mentioned about sleep deprivation. Have you ever gone on holidays and you've got jet lag and you get to the event, the place that you wanted to go to, you're looking forward to it, and what happens? You get the flu. Why? Because you get sleep deprivation, you have jet lag, and you're going to a new environment. And so many times we find that sleep deprivation causes you to get sick. Oh, let's have the next one. Oh, sorry, we're having a bit of trouble getting to the next slide. What is it going? Okay, stress. Now, chronic stress also lowers the immune defense and you get illness. And so some of the things, it actually releases, chronic stress releases cortisol, the stress hormone, and that also messes up a lot of other hormones. So what can you do about this? I mean, we're all suffering from stress from being locked down. As much as possible, socialize and laugh with friends. It releases endorphins. Pick up the phone and have a chat, have a good laugh, tell some jokes. Loneliness can negatively impact your immune system. Here we are, we're hugging our pet. We have a little dog like this, and gives us a lot of hugs and releases oxytocin and reduces our stress. And some of the calming activities you can do is meditation. That's a very good one. And of course, exercise, like going for a walk in nature. Nature, somehow that helps a lot. You feel calm. And if you have an anxiety attack, as my daughter says, you can try the 4-7-8 breathing technique, which is breathe in 4, hold it for 7, and breathe out for 8. And try to block out negative thoughts within 5 seconds. So let me explain why I got involved in the immune area. I used to be a board member of a New Zealand company, and they had a product for irritable bowel syndrome. And I came across another product from another company who wanted to put their product with ours. And I was very fascinated by all the background information, the clinical trials on this product. So when my daughter, who was my bane, she was always sick, a cold every few months, and she had severe allergic rhinitis, such that she finished up a whole box of tissues a day and constantly going to ENTs. So I gave her this, she was an ears, nose and throat specialist. So I gave her this product, and to my surprise, well, I did expect her to get well and not have so many flus, but what happened is that after 8-9 months, she actually overcame her severe allergies to dust mites and cats. And her health transformation really motivated me. We both have not had any problems, any illnesses, any flus, anything since we've been taking our product. So we decided to empower people to take early preventive action. And we made our product in America. We developed it there, and it's called Santivia Immune. So what are the benefits of Santivia Immune? It repairs, restores, and maintains immune structure and function. and it encounters free radicals that cause DNA and immune cell damage. It fights against the common bacteria that you encounter daily. It has in fact, you can look on our clinical trials and our laboratory studies under science, and you'll see that we have activity against the common bacteria, Streptococcus, Staphylococcus, E. coli, Pseudomonas, and Salmonella. And these account for about 85% of the common bacteria that we encounter. And we talked about cell communication, how it's lost when we have these pits. So it actually restores lost immune cell communication so that the immune cells know how to defend you, how to do things in the right order. And I mentioned NK cells. Well, NK cells are so important now, our immune assassin. We have 2 clinical studies that show that NK cell activity increases when you take Santivia Immune. And one is on healthy people, and the other one on very chronically sick people that have had, all sorts of illnesses. What is noted is that people who have a lot of illnesses have very low NK cells, so you really want to boost them up. And finally, it balances your immune system, so it works on either underactive or overactive. Basically, it's intelligent and knows what to do when. So it results in a balanced immune system. What is it? It is basically a synergistic combination between immune modulator AIE10 and the antioxidant superfood blueberries. So both ingredients are food-derived ingredients. We don't use any chemicals. It's a natural source of vitamin C, and it's suitable for the whole family, from toddlers, from 2-year-old to the elderly, even those that are taking medications. So our objective is to empower people to attain their best health so that they can enjoy a life of purpose and fulfillment. And there's my name, and if anyone wants to discuss anything further, they can write to me at Lynette@SantiviaHealth.com, and on our website, www.SantiviaHealth.com, you can look at the clinical studies and any FAQs, because that gives all the information. Because of this talk, we're also giving 10% off until the end of July. You can order it from Aging Asia. And about the only other thing that I'd like to say about the immune system is also there's one product that I think people should take is vitamin D. But other than that, I don't really believe that you have to take other products to help your immune system. Vitamin D, because a lot of people don't get it sufficient. You're supposed to get it from the sun. And I think we all tend to cover up and put a lot of sunblock on, and we don't really like the sun that much. So I think actually elders also should take vitamin D, and definitely Santivia Immune to keep the immune system strong. And now I think I finished, and people can answer questions or make some comments, ask questions.
Thank you very much, Lynette. So as we go into the Q&A segment, just before we start the Q&A, we're going to be sharing with you a couple of slides on the special National Day promotions that the Aging Asia Marketplace will be having. And also we'd like to invite the audience to answer a few questions on areas that were also brought up during Lynette's session earlier. So there's a live poll that's going to be happening shortly. So all of you will be able to see this live poll. Please look at your screens in front of you. And after the live poll, where we get some of the findings, we'll be asking you to participate in the audience Q&A. So when you see the live screen come up in front of you now, feel free to go in, take a look, click on the answers. So it's only going to take a couple of moments. So we invite everyone here to participate actively in the live poll. So it relates to those of you who've been vaccinated, how many hours of sleep do you get daily? We're quite interested to find out the audience that we have here, just some of these quick questions that you have. We've received a number of questions that have come in since Lynette's talk. The questions were coming in. So thank you very much, everyone, for participating. We'll be going through some of these questions with Lynette shortly. And of course, if you have more questions, feel free to come in to ask the questions in the chat or to raise your hands, and then we'll turn on your mic for you to ask those questions. Well, great participation. We're seeing all the answers come in gradually as well. I think a lot of people are having an average of 4 to 6 hours of sleep in general. Majority of our audience here has been vaccinated. Right now, the poll is showing about 70% vaccinations. I think the nation average is 80 plus maybe now. I know we still have about 180,000 seniors that are not vaccinated yet. And we're also interested in mental health for older people as you go through this difficult period over the last year. We've seen here from the results coming in, about 68% of the audience here has not experienced any stress or anxiety attacks, but 32% have. And we hope that if you're experiencing any of these stress and anxiety attacks, there are a lot of hotlines and resources out there available. If any of you wants to reach out to Aging Asia, we're happy to point you to the right resources and to make recommendations on any mental health specialist that you may want to speak to as well. And of course, the last question, question 4, are you taking any immunity products? 40% of the audience here today is taking immunity products, which means about 60% are not taking any immunity products yet. So we hope today's session is also providing you a fruitful introduction to the world of immunity. And I have quite a few questions that I'll be asking Lynette shortly too. So we're going to end the poll now. Thank you very much for participating. Great. So on 8th of August, of course, Singapore is celebrating National Day. Together with today's special speaker, Lynette, we are, as she mentioned earlier, we're offering the National Day promotions. So those of you who are interested, you can actually take up your phones and scan the QR code. Now, everything in Singapore now is QR code. When you enter a place, you have to use the Trace Together app, or you have to use QR for contact tracing. But QR code has become very common among seniors, and I think we've all become more tech savvy, and we can use QR codes now. So it's a fast way to access websites. So you can just scan on your phone QR code, and then you can get to the website really fast. But if not, you can also go to www.agingasiamarketplace.com. Well, all these promotions are provided to you in the chat function too. And of course, from one of our other partners, Lachiam, they have products available for sale at 20%. So you can go in to take a look. And of course, coming up, we have a virtual tour looking at gardening. So the virtual garden tour series starts from 26 August. Those of you who are interested, please email kadenlim@agingasia.com or to subscribe to our newsletter. So Gyok Kwan's Magic Pot series is going to be a very interesting session. How many of you here are interested in gardening? I know the last time when we did a gardening webinar, that was quite good. And since Lynette here mentioned that she likes growing plants as well, maybe next time we'll be interviewing her at her gardens. So I think that will be interesting. If you're interested, write to us and say, Lynette, please show us your garden, and we'll invite Lynette to do that. Well, in this virtual garden series, you can step into edible gardens. The gardens are private spaces, and they are always hosted by a different person in the community. So like Gyok Kwan, her home garden is a garden where weeds are welcome. And through her research, she's found that many of these weeds have medicinal properties. So don't think of weeds as just weeds as in the drugs, but weeds as in, different kinds of plants that's available. And in her garden, there's edible plants and they serve different purposes. So hopefully we can hear a bit more about what's interesting in those areas. So right now we've come on to the Q&A segment. One of our first questions, Lynette, is about the many interesting terms that you've brought up today to our attention. And one of them is NK cell. What is NK cell?
Sorry. Oh, NK cells are called natural killer cells, and they're a part of they're one of the main immune cells that recognize the foreign viruses and microscopic cancer cells. They're really very important, and it's found, as I said, that people who've got chronic illness have very low natural killer cells. And in the past, it was believed that our ancestors had much higher natural killer cells, but because of all these chemicals, it's reduced it. So we probably have much lower levels of natural killer cells than in the past.
Modern stress.
So modern stress and chemicals have reduced our natural killer cells. So we've also found in that study that if you increase the natural killer cells, the people that had these illnesses, you can see their symptoms improve. And that study, it was a 18-month study with over 100 people. And it's quite an interesting study. So you could have a look at that on our science page, clinical trial page.
Great. So, I've been to the Santivia website, and on it has some research about the clinical trials and other research and media interviews available. So those of you who want to read more, I know knowledge is power. So those of you who are curious about it, you should take a look and read it. Sometimes there's also the thing about we read about a lot in the media about antibodies. Lynette, can you share with us more about antibodies too? How can we, first of all, what is it and how can we build it better and how does it help us?
Well, when you have an organism, a foreign organism comes in as an antigen, and this antibody, it's part of the immune system, actually fits that particular molecule. It's almost like a perfect fit, and then that's how it neutralizes it. So it's very specific, right? It's a specific for that particular organism. And it's part of the adaptive immune system. The innate immune system is things like natural killer cells. They're non-specific. As soon as they see a foreign thing, they start gobbling it up, right? But what you want is something, this is specific, and I have to have an antibody that will neutralize it. So it's a very specific thing. That's why you get, for example, the antibody to the spike protein, specific to that spike protein. So, and in the vaccine, for example. So that's why we want to have more antibodies to counteract those specific antigens.
So out of curiosity, how soon after taking the Santivia Immune will I develop more antibodies?
Oh, I don't think anybody could really figure that out. I think it takes some time, and it depends on how bad you are at the moment, how unhealthy you are. Okay. I mean, we've had some cases where, we've listened to their history and we think, oh, wow, they've really pretty bad immune system. So let's really increase the amount first to see like two twice a day capsules. And once we figure out that they are much better, then we can start reducing it. And they can see for themselves because they don't get sick. I think we have a person like that in the room, like Pauline, for example.
May I say something?
Yeah.
Yes.
Remember, so sorry, everybody, my name is Pauline. I'm a pharmacist like Lynette, and I've known Lynette for a good 40 years, I think. I wish you had discovered this really much earlier, because everybody knows me very active and always sneezing, and immune system was so low. So to answer Jenny's question, when Lynette said, Pauline, you must take, and that was what, 4 years ago, exactly, 4 years. Janice, I stopped having flu for after 2 months. Yeah, immediately.
Lenny also.
Yeah. So I promised Lynette, I said, Lynn, I will take, if I don't get flu for the first 12 months, I will do a video for you. So I know exactly when, because as a science person, I don't quite believe, you know what I mean, but oh boy, I do believe. And thank you. So to answer Jenny's question, Lynette, it took me only 2 months. And after that, goodness, for 4 years now. Yes, today I feel when I'm stressed a little bit, because I have to give talks and that, I might get a bit of fever, a bit. And I just increased my Santivia. So Janice, 2 months.
Well, there we have the answer. And Pauline, what's your age, if you'd like to share with the audience too?
I don't care. Lynette, say first.
Coming to 75.
Okay, I am 76 and a half.
Wow, we should have done a quiz. No one would be able to guess your age because both of you look so young.
We both are grandparents. And yes, Lynette did pharmacy in where, Sydney?
Yeah, Sydney.
Sydney. And then when Lynette married Brian, she came to Singapore. That's why she sounds Aussie. Oi, oi, oi. Yeah.
Great. And in Singapore, it's very common to have sinus. Many friends and family members around us have sinus. How can we build our immunity against sinus?
Well, actually, that's what I used to have, chronic sinusitis. I was at one time when I was very stressed in my early career, I was at the ears, nose, and throat doctor every week to have my nose drained. It was so awful, right? That was so bad. All I had to do is get the flu and I'd get a sinusitis. So the crux of the whole thing is if you don't get the flu and you don't have your nose running all the time, you're not getting all this mucus stuck down there, you don't get sinusitis. I haven't had sinusitis now for years, and yet I was so sick. That was the one thing I ever had, right?
Great. Oh, thanks for answering those questions. Thanks, Pauline. It's really good to have someone in the audience to help us to also put it into perspective and to answer from someone who's used it, and especially from pharmacists. And we have two pharmacists here who are active users. One is the founder and one is a person who's been using it actively. So the other questions we have is, I guess related to the ingredients behind what you created in Santivia. And the use of blueberries. So, blueberries is one of the core ingredients. Can't we just take a box of blueberries instead of taking an immunity pill? What's the difference?
Well, I suppose you can. We've added it to the immune modulator just to make it an all-round product, right? You have the immune modulator part. That's the most important part, right? Really, and it's synergistic with the blueberries. So immune modulators basically balances the immune system, right? That's the most important part. That's the part that actually makes sure you have a proper immune communication, and also that it's active against the common bacteria and increases NK cells. But the blueberries antioxidant. But the blueberries is basically the antioxidant part that covers the free radicals. So you could take, it's a lot of blueberries, we just take but expensive blueberries too.
Well, we'll all turn into blueberry gummy bears. So.
Blueberries with Santivia.
Okay. Yes. Right. So that's about blueberries.
Is that clear?
Sorry, Melanie wants to interrupt. Sorry.
That's a great intergenerational effort.
Yes.
So, Melanie, thank you for helping us to put it into perspective. I noticed you were trying to help your mom to simplify some of the terms. As you know, all of us in the audience here today are not pharmacists. So we, from an easy way to explain, how do you best explain the ingredients inside, and why is it that we need supplements and we can't just rely on a healthy plant-based diet or whole foods? What do you notice and how can you explain it?
So you're asking me or Melanie?
Melanie can answer. Yeah.
What did you say again? Sorry. Did you hear, Mel? She was interrupting.
Okay. Why can't you just take foods, right? Because when we think about immunity, I think a lot of people just understand things like, vitamin C. Why don't I just eat an orange? Yeah, you can absolutely eat an orange, and you can absolutely get vitamin C from an orange, right? So for myself, I'm a lawyer, but I'm also a integrative health coach. So very interested in health as well. Not a pharmacist, but a health coach. So with food, and I believe food is medicine. You can take for example, like I said, oranges to have vitamin C. But that's just one aspect. That's nutritional value. You get nutritional value from food, right? Certain things you may be able to get, for example, iron from spinach or from beef. But that is non-specific. That is not a specific immune modulator, for example, right? So how our product is put together, such as you have the one element, which is the immune modulator, that is the part that balances the immune system. We talked about the NK cells and having a neither underactive or overactive immune system. But the other aspect would be the blueberries, which is more of that nutritional, natural vitamin C, but also as superfood antioxidant. So it's kind of a combination of both, right? So you will never just be able to have an immune balancer from eating a lot of spinach or kale, for example. I hope that kind of answers the question.
Yeah. So I think, in summary, it's really about, efficiency in modern day world. You can't go around to eat all the different foods, but in this small capsule, we can actually take it and, you get all the immunity that we need. Well, exactly. Thanks for that. Our next question is about how effective are alternative medical systems. Some types of mushrooms, and let's say in Ayurveda, ancient Indian herbal treatments are also examples. This was a question from Rohini. How effective are alternative medical systems?
They're believed to be fuels rather than triggers. They're just like it's good to have, like oranges and vitamin C. Yes, definitely. I mean, but they are not specific. Like our product is very specific.
Fuels and triggers.
I mean, it's a fuel. How do you explain it?
So it's kind of like what I explained earlier. I think, for example, some of these absolutely great to have, right? Mushrooms and all that have certain properties, but I think what we talked about earlier was not specifically targeting organisms, right? They don't identify the organism. They just boost your immune system sort of generally, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
well, totally.
If you have poor nutrition and you don't have all the micronutrients in your diet, you're already going to have a very poor immune system, right? So that's why the nutrition is really, really important. So yes, I think mushrooms are good.
There's definitely a place for these.
Great. Thanks for the answer. Well, of course, today we're interviewing Lynette and we want to know all about her too. So, Lynette, apart from taking immunity pills, what else do you do in your daily diet? What do you eat? We're curious. What does a person who looks after her health so well, what do you eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Can you share with us?
Yeah, I in fact, I must admit that I now eat yogurt every morning with kefir. And since I've done that, and blueberries, I love blueberries. I have yogurt, kefir, and blueberries, and I have orange juice and papaya for my breakfast. So I enjoy it very much. And since I've been doing that and added kefir, I must admit I don't have any problem with the gut. I used to get indigestion feeling, and since that kefir is what do you call it?
Kefir is a probiotic. That I started making for my mother.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel that it's really, since I've been taking that diet, I don't get indigestion anymore. My bowel movements are good and things like that. So funny enough, I find that I automatically go to a healthy diet. It's not like something I have to do anymore. When I came to Singapore years ago, I was a typical Aussie. I'd eat beef. No, I don't much. I'm now much more a plant eater. And we spend quite a lot of money and very variable vegetables and all sorts of fruit. So I've gone away from meat and I tend to eat fish as well.
Okay. What does lunch and dinner look like?
It was I had salad. I had salad and a quiche for lunch, things like that. I do enjoy that. Well, once in a while, I like the local food, but I don't really say that I have to eat healthy. It just automatically comes that way. I just feel like that. Incidentally, the other product I eat is moringa.
Okay.
And that comes from my garden. So I actually made that into a capsule because when I went on holiday with a whole lot of pharmacists, they were all had problems with going to the toilet. So I was handing out moringa. Yeah, so it's about the other product. It's supposed to be a very good nutritional product that the Filipinos and the Indians and the Africans know all about it. So that's another product. But
what product?
Well, a plant, sorry, it's a plant, but I made it into a product by grinding it up and putting it in capsules so that I can carry it with me.
Well, we look forward to your next series of herbal products that you might be selling. It sounds quite interesting. Well, we have almost come to the end of today's session, and someone was curious about two more things. Okay. And we're going to ask. First one is about soaking vegetables in salt water versus baking soda. And I think it's because you mentioned in your presentation earlier about soaking with baking soda or to soak with vinegar. What should we soak our vegetables in?
Well, I mean, that's what I heard. We also have a vegetable wash as well. We've bought a vegetable wash as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know about salt water. I don't know whether it gets rid of it, but from what I understood, baking soda is the best to use. But
Well,
as I said, we have a wash. But nowadays, I tend to eat a lot of our own vegetables. We're growing cucumbers and eggplant and all sorts of things, basil, all our the herbs are being grown in the garden. So we don't really worry about pesticides and things like that.
Ah, okay. And another question is about taking of the immunity pills. Actually, can you take Santivia Immune with vitamin C or multivitamins?
Oh yes, it doesn't counteract any product. I mean, even if you're taking lots of medicines, there's no contradiction at all. Yeah, so it can be used for everybody, from very young children to elderly people with multiple problems and health problems and multiple medicines.
Great.
Yes.
Well, one last question. Can you take us through the breathing technique?
Okay, Mel can do the breathing technique. You want to do your breathing technique? Mel's breathing technique.
Okay, so you please lead everyone through this breathing technique, and I think we can all benefit from it.
Okay. So I call it it's quite known. It's the 4-7-8 one. It works for me. So what you do is when you're having sort of an anxiety attack, people tend to hyperventilate, right? So you breathe in 4 counts, slow counts. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you hold your breath for 7. And then you breathe out slowly for 8. So you count to 8 as you're breathing out. And you just do that. And that really slows down the breath and it helps with the hyperventilation. And it puts your mind from that heart racing anxiety feeling to a more calm state. So you just repeat it over and over at your desk while you're driving, it's safe. Don't close your eyes while you're driving and doing it. If you are in a safe place, you can go ahead and close your eyes as well.
Yeah, so there you have it. That's a very interesting and useful technique for all of us who are at home during this lockdown period, or anytime you feel stressed, stress with the dog, stress with your kids, stress with the neighbors, noise, construction noise. Construction noise is terrible in Singapore now. There's there's construction going on everywhere, and I think many people who are working at home, they do get stressed from time to time. So I think this is a useful technique. For all the seniors out there, you can actually go and teach your children tomorrow a stress relieving technique. The next time your kids tell you that they are stressed, you can teach them this new breathing technique. Well, thank you. Yeah.
I do it every day now, called Fitness with Cindy. I love it. It's for elders. And it's wonderful. She has about 100 videos on how you can do things, Tai Chi, all sorts of things. And I do it the first thing in the morning and I feel great. So
great.
I strongly recommend Fitness with Cindy.
Okay. Well, there you have it. They have breathing techniques and fitness strategies as well. And Lynette, as we go towards the end of today's webinar, what is the one message that you want to leave our audience for today's session?
Okay. Well, just because we're older doesn't mean that we're past, our prime. Actually, this is the best time if we're healthy. You have to be healthy. You can have a new lease of life. I think that's important. And besides, 70 is now the 50. The new 50.
Great. Well, on that note, we invite everyone now to take a quick photo on screen for us, if you like. Turn on your cameras and we can take a quick photo with our speaker today. We do thank everyone for joining us today. We've put up today's webinar recording inside Aging Asia Facebook Marketplace. For those of you who want to get a recording or to watch it or to share with your friends, feel free to do so. Thank you very much for joining us.
Mel, come out, Mel. Okay, come out. Yeah.
Great. So
wait, they're going to take a picture now. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a couple of photos. As you know, in this new COVID Zoom environment, even photo taking on Zoom is an art. You want to do your hair, look at the right angle. Well, we've got it all taken today. Thank you everyone for joining us. We hope that you've enjoyed today's session. Do share with your friends, and I will see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.